Hi everybody, I am Meg Joyce and I am the heartbeat inside of In-Kind Brand Design and the Brand Therapy Group. And today I'm doing Zentangles because I love them. Because it's the kind of thing that every high school art student learns how to do. It's a kind of meditative abstract ideation, which is a fancy way of saying it's doodling on a piece of paper, and using it as a meditative practice. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started because one of the great things about Zentangles is that it's not a thing. Like, it's just, you make it up as you go, which is terrifying. Like, if it's your first time ever doing a Zentangle, that's a little terrifying. But the more you get used to it, the easier it is to just let go and make marks on a piece of paper. And one of the things that I love about Zentangles, and one of the reasons that I want to talk about them, is mistakes. One of the beautiful things about Zentangles is that there are no mistakes. You just do them. You just draw. You just make shapes and patterns, and then for me I make shapes, I make patterns, I make whatever. I mean, this is just swirly things on a piece of paper, and then you fill them in with pattern. And on the one hand, it's a beautiful form of meditation, which I'm terrible at meditation. I'm so bad at meditation, because I can't quiet my brain, because I need something to focus on. I can't, and it's easy to say I am bad at meditation because I've never really done it and I've never really put any effort into it. But this gives me something to focus on that actually quiets my brain. And the ironic thing is, of course, that I'm now talking while I'm doing it. So I'm like focusing on two things at the same time, which I guess is going to force me to shut off my anxiety brain even more, which is good, right? So anyway, I want to talk about mistakes. Because in Zentangles, there's really no such thing as mistakes. And one of the things I always encourage people to do is to use something you can't erase. Yes, I just saw, oh, Megan said, give yourself some grace. Yeah, absolutely. So I like to tell people to use a medium that they can't erase for Zentangles, because you don't want to get caught up in thinking, oh my God, am I about to make a mistake? And oh my God, am I going to have to erase this? And you also kind of don't want to give yourself the freedom to erase something, because you never know if it's actually a mistake until further down the line. And that's definitely a metaphor for life. I mean, you never know in the moment, you never know when things are happening what they're going to mean for you down the line. Certainly there have been lots of things in my life that I started out thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? What just happened? And it's taught me something, or it's become something. And the same is true in art. The same is true in this kind of practice, because you just never know what something's going to become. And part of the beauty of this kind of exercise is it gives you the opportunity to let go and trust that no matter what you do, you're going to be able to turn it into something beautiful, or at least it's going to feel good within the context of the bigger piece. Because, you look at little things, you look at small mistakes. Like I just went over the line there, but by the time I finish this, even I'm not going to notice that. Even I'm not going to see that, because it's not going to be about that anymore. It's going to be about something different. And as of right now, I don't want to abandon this piece because I've just gone over the line, because I don't know what it's going to look like. And what a missed opportunity that would be, to give up on things before you've even given them a chance. So one of the things that I do with Zentangles is I kind of come up with a plan as I go. One of the phrases that I like to use is, a lot of these exercises are prescribed freedom, because it's freedom with some rules. It's freedom with guidelines for how to get started. One of the scariest things in the entire world is a blank piece of paper. A blank space with no idea of what to put in it or how to fill it. And this kind of exercise, you have that blank piece of paper, but you have guidance, you have guidelines, and the more you practice this kind of thing, the easier it gets. The more Zentangles and the more pages of your sketchbooks you fill up, the easier it gets to know that it's going to be okay, and you can trust your hand as it's moving and not try to control the process too much, because I don't know what this is and I'm just making it up. And you know, if I gave up on this because I didn't quite like the way the first swirl, the first swoop that I did happened, then I'd just never know what any of the other stuff would look like. And that's, I don't know. I know I'm repeating myself now, but what a shame that would be. What a shame to give up on ourselves before we've even given ourselves a chance to get to know who we're going to become. So I'm doing squiggly lines here, and now I feel like for contrast, I'm going to do some straight lines. And I'm just going to let myself, I don't know, experience as it happens. And it's kind of like at that point that it's not even me that's doing it. You kind of turn off your self-critical brain and just let it become something. Let the thing on the piece of paper become something, because then it's not about me. It's not about me. It's not about, am I good or am I bad? It's not about, have I made the right decisions? It's just, it's a thing that exists in the world. And I don't have to judge it, but I do get to feel good because it was my hand that made it possible. Oh, these things kind of look like bricks now. And now I'm wondering, like, is it like swirly lines against concrete bricks? That's one of the things that I love about art and being an artist, is that, you know, we as people who look at art, we read all kinds of stuff into what we assume the artist was trying to say. But I think in a lot of cases, modern artists in general, we're just kind of figuring it out as we go. And certainly for my work, a lot of it, I don't know what it is until it's done. And I can tell you, oh yeah, I planned that thing. But it's not so much about, in reality, it's not so much about planning. It's about being open to the possibilities and being ready to see them when they happen. That, I think, is the most valuable thing that I have, beyond what I call my magical empathy, which helps me to understand people, where they're coming from and what they're feeling and how they're feeling and what they wish for before they've even really realized it themselves. So that's my number one superpower. But my number two superpower is definitely being able to keep my eyes open so that I can see when something magical happens. I think we all have this to an extent, but certainly it's one of those things that it's a muscle that you can exercise and grow. And definitely I think Zentangles is a great opportunity to practice that. Especially Zentangles with a Sharpie or some kind of non-erasable thing where you don't get the luxury of being able to second guess yourself. You just have to make a mark and run with it. You just have to put it down on paper and trust that in the end, it's going to be a thing. And honestly, if it's not, if you get to the end and you do hate it, you can turn it into something. You could cut it up and turn it into a collage piece. You can paint on it. You can do anything. Or you could turn to the next page in your sketchbook and nobody's ever going to see it again. That's one of the things that I tell myself every time I sit down to do a brand therapy exercise is the creative ones in particular. Nobody's going to sit and page through my sketchbook and think, oh, that's really good work. Oh, what a masterpiece of a sketchbook. Because people don't do that. It's, first off, this is my sketchbook and I can let it be whatever I want it to be. Or nothing. It doesn't have to be anything. I can get to the end of this and use it as kindling if I want. Like, that's just because I like fire. But and the release of it is also fun. But nobody's ever going to look at this and judge you. Nobody's ever going to see the things that you do in brand therapy and think, oh my God, what's wrong with that person? Oh my God, they've made the wrong decisions. Oh, what a mistake. It's not a thing. These are the things that we do for ourselves. These are the things that these are the things that if we don't do them for ourselves and we do them for other people, then we don't really do them fully. The whole point is prescribed freedom. The whole point is to get over the barriers of fear, knowing that you have the parameters within which to express yourself creatively, and to then just do it. Just go. Because it's going to be okay. It's always going to be okay. And I think I'm going to finish up this Zentangle, but I want to leave you with that last phrase, that it's going to be okay. Don't be afraid to use a Sharpie. Don't be afraid to make big choices in your life. Don't be afraid to take a deep breath and make the first mark, because it's not going to be a mistake. It's going to be something that takes you to that next step. And if you don't risk that first step, if you don't risk making a mistake and get started, then you'll just stay standing still. So if you have the time, go off and do a Zentangle. It's literally just patterns and lines, and it can be whatever you want it to be. I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I will see you again next time.